absurd revenue sharing demands. And then another group, and by the way, that group would strike, I think. That if they don't do it, let's strike. The other group is like, hold on now. Hold on now. They're less inclined to strike. They're like, wait a minute now. We know we need to play basketball. All right. I think it's very odd that between ESPN and front office sports.
A recent collective bargaining session took place in New York between WNBA team ownership and the Players Association, drawing significant attention due to unusual circumstances. The gathering proved remarkable because franchise operators arrived without presenting any new counter-proposal, apparently maintaining their stance that their existing offer represents fair compensation and requires no further modification. Previous coverage revealed internal discord within the players' union, with competing factions holding opposing viewpoints on negotiation strategy. One faction advocates maintaining aggressive demands regarding league revenue distribution and appears willing to initiate work stoppage if terms aren't met. The opposing faction shows reluctance towards strike action, recognizing the necessity of actually competing on the court. Media outlets covering these discussions, particularly ESPN and Front Office Sports, have notably avoided highlighting the upper threshold of potential player earnings under the proposed agreement.
Very odd that between ESPN and Front Office Sports, the places that's been covering this the most, I love how they do not bring up the maximum amount of money that these players would get at the end of this CBA right here. Based on recent reports, the league has proposed a significantly higher salary structure with a maximum compensation potentially approaching $1.3 million to nearly $2 million.
Recent information indicates ownership has offered substantially elevated pay structures, with top-tier compensation potentially reaching $1.3 million initially and climbing toward approximately $2 million as the contract progresses. Coverage consistently emphasizes only the lower figure, seemingly attempting to bolster the player's bargaining position by downplaying the deal's full value. Standard journalism practice typically highlights maximum dollar amounts in such stories due to their attention-grabbing nature, making this omission appear deliberate, given these outlets' apparent alignment with player interests. The Monday conference at league headquarters extended roughly 3 hours before participants began departing. With fewer than 100 days remaining before season commencement, the timeline grows increasingly compressed.
Compensation potentially approaching $1.3 million to nearly $2 million over the life of the deal. They're making a point to only say $1.3 million because they're trying to empower the players. Well, it's just $1.3 million. Well, it's nearly $2 million by the end of the deal. So, and look, when you're talking about stories like this, you always go for the max amount of money involved because, well, that's what catches the attention.
Nikki Agume informed Front Office Sports that ownership representatives immediately announced they had prepared no new proposal, establishing an unexpected dynamic for the discussion. Agume characterized the extended session as both parties explaining their reasoning behind previous offers rather than advancing negotiations. According to sources knowledgeable about the talks, a primary objective involved facilitating direct communication between players and ownership to address mutual questions. Notably absent from in-person attendance were high-profile union representatives Kelsey Plum and Nafisa Collier, who instead participated remotely through video conferencing. Physical attendees included Brianna Turner, Alyssa Thomas, and Stephanie Dolson among player representatives.
Involved because, well, that's what catches the attention. So these outlets are making a point to not mention that because they're all in on these players getting paid. They're getting paid. Maybe not. Monday's pivotal meeting between the WNBA players and owners at league offices in New York lasted roughly 3 hours before attendees slowly started trickling out. By the way, there's less than 100 days till the
ownership delegation featured Connecticut Sun president Jennifer Rositis, New York Liberty owner Clara Woodsai, and advisor Sue Bird. The composition of the negotiating team has drawn criticism. with observations that some of the league's least popular figures are representing players while demonstrating documented hostility toward the league's most marketable talent. Commentary suggests Caitlin Clark should assume a prominent role in these discussions given her extraordinary popularity and drawing power. Approximately 40 players joined the session via remote connection, including executive committee members unable to attend physically. Union leadership, including President Nneka Ogwumike, participated alongside other officials.
The start of the season. Quote, they volunteered that they did not have a proposal prepared at the top of the meeting. Nneka Ogwumike told Front Office Sports. That kind of set the tone for the conversation because we were hoping to hear otherwise. Ogwumike said the 3-hour meeting was instead spent both sides explaining the thinking behind their recent proposals. One of the main priorities, according to one source familiar with the negotiation, was to allow players.
Earlier reporting had indicated substantial disagreement among the 17-member WNBPA Executive Committee. One contingent believes current circumstances demand unwavering pursuit of restructured revenue arrangements, while another group shows diminished appetite for potential work stoppage. Following publication of these internal division reports, union leadership attempted to minimize the narrative. Both Ogwumike and Thomas disputed any organizational fracturing, though the denial arrived after media had already established the story. The video conference reportedly included participation from political figure Stacey Abrams and AFL-CIO President Liz Shuler, both expressing solidarity with the Players Association.
Negotiation was to allow players and owners to connect and ask questions of each other. By the way, the high-profile visits, attendance in person of Kelsey Plum and Nafisia Collier did not happen. They called in via Zoom, it looks like. Good God. Breonna Turner. I mean, y'all got the worst.
The involvement of such polarizing political figures raised questions about strategic priorities and public perception management, with critics questioning whether league growth remains the actual focus. Fan reaction has been overwhelmingly critical of the union's approach. Common sentiments expressed include observations that ownership has already extended generous proposals deserving acceptance. Commentary notes that management dispatched representatives to attend personally while union leadership participated remotely, suggesting unprofessional conduct. Multiple observers characterized the negotiating team as incompetent, suggesting whoever advised players to maintain unrealistic expectations deserves termination.
I mean, y'all got the worst people ever representing the women in this. Alicia Clark and Stephanie Dolson were involved in this meeting as well. Connecticut's Sun President Jennifer Rosati, good Lord, she's a Caitlin Clark hater. Matt Amishi and New York Liberty owner Clara Wu Tasai and Sue Bird. Good Lord.
Critics point out that life-altering compensation increases sit available while union leadership appears prepared to reject transformative financial opportunities. Questions arose regarding whether the union delegation arrived prepared with counter-proposals and concessions or merely intended to receive information passively. Speculation suggests that if ownership's latest offer faced membership vote, it would likely achieve approval. The proposal reportedly quadruples current compensation to $1.3 million for top earners, though by the agreement's conclusion, increases reach 8 to 9 times current levels, representing extraordinary salary growth. The economic reality that the league continues operating at multi-million-dollar annual losses while players demand increased compensation struck many as unreasonable.
Sue Bird. Good Lord. I mean, it's... Let's see how many of the most unlikable individuals in the league we can all put in one room that actually can't stand the most popular talent they have in the entire league. I've said this. They've got the worst people representing them in this. It needs to be Caitlin Clark, and we all know it.
Criticism emphasized the disconnect between financial performance and compensation demands. Several responses suggested simply dissolving the league entirely given the apparent impasse. Others noted that ownership has essentially declared their position final, presenting a take-it-or-leave-it ultimatum. Beyond players participating in the alternative unrivaled league, the broader player population would likely accept the current proposal if given direct opportunity. Eventually, this silent majority may need to vocalize their position publicly, explicitly stating their willingness to accept available terms and resume competition.
Too soon for me to bring that up, because you got people doing the largest attendance ever for a women's sporting event. No, false. Oh, 21,490. I did a video earlier where I just came right out and said this is some scammy, shady bullshit. Excuse my language. Because if you don't think for a second that
The situation remains tense with significant time pressure as the regular season approaches, while fundamental disagreements persist between union leadership and both ownership and apparently substantial portions of the player population itself. Supporters of Caitlin Clark demonstrated remarkable precision when responding to recent claims about women's basketball attendance records. Numerous individuals across social media platforms began celebrating what they deemed the most significant day in women's basketball history following Unrivaled's announced attendance figures. However, these celebrations overlooked crucial context and factual comparisons that quickly emerged. Worth noting as a supplementary point, Nebraska women's volleyball previously attracted 92,000 spectators to a single match.
Politically driven corporations didn't get involved in this. If you don't think they didn't find a way to give out tickets to everything they possibly could to get as many people, and look, I don't doubt that there was a lot of people there. I doubt, how did they get there? How did they acquire the ticket? All right, what happens? Corporations buy a pool of tickets.
This raises questions about claims positioning any event as the largest attendance in women's sports history. The Unrivaled event reported 21,490 attendees, which prompted immediate skepticism from various observers regarding the authenticity of that figure and the methods used to achieve it. Questions emerged about the legitimacy of the attendance numbers, with suggestions that politically motivated corporations may have intervened in ticket distribution. Suspicions arose regarding potential bulk ticket giveaways designed to inflate attendance figures artificially. While the physical presence of substantial crowds seems undeniable, the mechanism by which those individuals obtained entry warrants examination.
Buy a pool of tickets. Celebrities buy pools of tickets. I heard that a WNBA player bought 60 tickets for friends and family. You see, one damn player bought 60 tickets. You see how that works? This is some BS. All right? And I called it out earlier. I said, don't.
Corporate entities frequently purchase ticket pools for distribution purposes. Celebrity figures similarly acquire large blocks of seats. Reports indicated that a single professional player purchased 60 tickets for personal connections and relatives. When individual players can distribute dozens of tickets personally, the attendance composition shifts dramatically. These practices represent questionable promotional tactics.
I said, don't look. If you guys believe this is legit, without no help from woke corporations buying pools of tickets, woke celebrities buying tickets, you're as delusional as the players that won't sign to CBA right now. So, some people tried to bring Caitlin Clark into this. Oh, look at all the people here, and Caitlin Clark's nowhere to be seen. Well, yeah, she's not playing in that ratchet-ass league.
Earlier observations suggested that anyone accepting these figures as purely organic ticket sales, achieved without assistance from corporations embracing progressive causes or celebrity bulk purchasing, displays considerable naivety comparable to players refusing to sign collective bargaining agreements despite obvious benefits. Attempts surfaced to incorporate Caitlin Clark into the narrative, highlighting the large crowd while emphasizing her absence from the event. However, her non-participation in what some characterize as a struggling 3x3 format league makes perfect sense. Commentary from other sports analysts question what television ratings would reveal, considering the 20,000 viewers who typically watch remotely were theoretically occupying stadium seats instead. Environmental factors in Philadelphia also deserve consideration. Was
Ass league, that 3x3 league that is literally hanging on by a thread. My boy Ben Daniel, in his video earlier, he just come right out and said it. He said, what are the ratings going to look like? Because the 20,000 that normally watches was in a stadium somewhere. How cold was it in Philly? Did some people take some free tickets to get in and out the snow? Question mark. Was it snowing? Was it cold?
Did complimentary tickets provide indoor refuge from harsh conditions? These scenarios merit contemplation. Specific social media exchanges illustrated the broader conflict. Various posts circulated attempting to claim record-breaking status for women's attendance, only to receive swift corrections. One particular challenge stated that Clark supporters weren't responsible for breaking women's attendance records, which immediately backfired spectacularly.
Just pointing some stuff out. I'm just here talking out loud amongst all of us friends. By the way, make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you're still subscribed. Check out blackwhitenetwork.com, exclusive member content, member live streams on Friday. So right here, and there's a lot of these kind of tweets going around. I know the CC fans aren't.
Responses highlighted the 55,000-person attendance at a Caitlin Clark game, a single contest, not a doubleheader event as Unrivaled apparently staged. This crucial distinction undermined the original comparison entirely. Clark's fanbase rapidly corrected the record, pointing to when the University of Iowa scheduled a basketball game in their football stadium specifically to accommodate demand for watching Clark perform live. Over 55,000 fans appeared for that historic occasion, nearly doubling the NCAA's previous single-game attendance record for women's college basketball. The Hawkeyes literally displaced their football team from the field to create space for this basketball spectacle.
Tweets going around. I know the CC fans aren't the one that broke the women's attendance. Oh, shit. It's a bad idea. You went out there running your mouth. It was a bad idea because you got checked. Somebody checked your head right off your neck. Right out of the gate. J-Mac. Oh, you mean this 55,000...
This outdoor stadium game represents a monumental moment in women's collegiate basketball history. The university transformed their football venue into a basketball arena, demonstrating unprecedented demand to watch Clark play. Video footage showed the team taking the field to massive crowds filling the stands, an undeniable display of genuine public interest. The visual evidence presents packed sections throughout the facility for a college-level game. Strong likelihood suggests attendees purchased their tickets individually at market rates rather than receiving complimentary distribution.
Right here with Caitlin Clark, it was one game, not two. Yeah, by the way, wasn't this like an unrivaled doubleheader or some shit? Wasn't that a thing? Is that a thing? Somebody told me that. Actually, it was CC fans who broke the record, and Unrivaled ain't even close. Uh-oh. That time they booked a football stadium so more people could watch Caitlin Clark live.
This fundamental difference separates organic demand from artificially inflated attendance. The comparison remains undefeated. Unrivaled's reported numbers still fall short of Clark's established women's basketball attendance record by a significant margin. A pattern emerges repeatedly in these discussions. Someone makes an inaccurate statement. Clark supporters provide factual corrections with supporting evidence.